Hello. Today I'm going to show you how to make a simple idler using Tweens of all things in Godot. So first to get started, I'm going to go ahead and right click on my directory and click open in file manager so that I can get the Explorer directory, whatever, for my project. And then I'm going to bring over here on the right, I have an asset pack that I got online. It's actually pretty great. This asset pack, Tiny Farm RPG Assets Pack by Emmanuel. Very good. Highly recommend. I'll leave the link in the description. There's like a free version. I got the purchased version. And I think it's really cute. I'm going to do fall crops because it's fall when I'm recording this. And I'm just going to bring that into the project. So we have an asset here. Just putting this in its own directory in case someone needs a project in. So I'm going to make a user interface node because this is just going to be a simple clicker button. We're going to do an idler with tweens and a progress bar as the button's graphic. So we're going to add a control node margin container. And that's going to be like the base of our button. We're going to add a child node to that of a button. And we're going to add a child node to the margin container as well. That is a texture progress bar. All right, and we're actually going to rename this as a growth button. And we're going to save it as its own scene, growth button. And this is just going to be a Tweens idler. And it's just going to be a parent that has the growth button in it, although I'm not sure if I need that. Oh well. So let's go ahead and extend this to the whole thing as a starting point. So texture progress bar, we're going to want it to just have the fall crop, and it's going to be transitioning from the ungrown to the partially grown. And then perhaps we would do again from the partially grown to the fully grown. So when I select it, it's the full asset or texture pack, and that's not really going to work. But this can be anything. So what we can do is Atlas texture. I think this is the right way. Yeah, that looks right. Bring in our fall crops texture pack, and then we can select the region. So we zoom in here and we'll highlight. We'll do a grid snap. Pixel snap? No, that's too precise. Grid snap. And maybe 8x8. That seems right if they're all too wide and too tall. So let's just say let's do the pumpkin. I love pumpkins. So let's just start here. Actually, let's do the grape because that's going to be the easiest for this demonstration. So this one's 3 tall and 2 wide. So we have this. We could even do this one or this empty one. Ooh, I like that. The empty one. Okay. I'm going somewhere with this, trust me. I guess we'll do the top right corner because this is actually very small. It's only like 20 pixels. What else? We need to make this a little sharper, I would think. So, yeah, texture filter on the texture progress bar. We'll go to linear, or from linear to nearest. Linear is the default. And it's nice and sharp now because it's pixels. All right, so that's the under. And then for the over, we can just copy this. Or I'm sorry, for the progress, we will copy this. Make it unique so we don't mess up the other one. Edit the region. And we're just going to do the fully grown. So then if we look here with the value progress, as it's going very slow. Let's say 50. You can see at 50%, it's mostly grown. 80% is basically there. 100, and then like 150, it doesn't even get to because it maxes at 100. This is going left to right, but I think it would look better if it was bottom to top. So here then we'd have 50%. It's like the thing is growing up, 20%, growing its way up and producing fruits, which I think is very cute. We could also have it grow to the non-fruit bearing and then swap it. That could be cool. Maybe we should. I like that. And then we'll add the fruits image after. So over, I'm not sure what over actually does. So let's just try something. Okay, so that just goes over the whole thing. We don't really need that. We need the progress. We'll set the value to 0 to start. And the button is in the background. We could put it in the foreground. It doesn't really matter. What does matter is that the texture progress bar, it needs to have the mouse set to ignore. Super important that the mouse is ignoring it so that we can click the button without issue. And now we're going to attach a script, just put it in with everything else for this project. And we're going to do func pressed. Oh, it's on the margin container, not the button. So that's not going to work. That's okay. We'll go to the button. We'll go to node and we'll connect the pressed. There we go. And so what we're going to do is we're going to call var tweener is type tween is tween. And then I think we'll say it is create tween. I like to call the tweener the tweens tweener. I don't know why. That's just how I always do it. And then we're going to say tweener dot tween property. I always just start typing and Godot helps me, so I don't really worry about knowing names of things exactly. Texture progress bar, and we're going to save value, I think it is. Is that what this is called? Yeah, value. And it's a float. And then the value we want is going to be 100. And let's say it takes, let's say 10 seconds. Now let's say 2, just for the sake of the video. But to start, we need to set it back to 0. Value is 0, so then it has somewhere to go. Let's also disable the button. So we'll say button dot disabled is true, and then await tweener dot finished, and then button dot disabled is false. So if we run the scene now, and oh my gosh, it's so teeny tiny. All right, that's that's not gonna work. Yeah, it's just teeny tiny. So I could scale this. Perhaps that's the best way. So we'll make it 10 times. There we go. Okay. So let's try 20. Sorry about that. So I'll scale it up maybe 25 times. We'll just drag it over to the center. Okay, sorry about that. All right, let's run it. So it's a button. Click it, and it grows, and that's it. And now you can click it again, and it'll grow again. Click it, and it'll grow again. This borders because it's in focus mode, which I don't think looks very good. And really, this whole thing is just so big so that you could see. But let's set the button to not grab focus. So focus none, focus mode none. What else can we do? It would be neat if we changed the image. So when the tweener finished, we could say the texture progress bar, we could set the under to be the over or the progress, and then set the progress to 0 so it'll be instant, you won't see it, and then do a second progress for adding the grapes. So I'm just gonna look at the regions here. Const bear region is 0, 72. We got a vector 2 of 0 and 72. And then we have a const of the grown region is a vector 2 of 64, 72. I think they're all going to be 72. That would make sense. And then the fruit region is going to be vector 2 of, let's see, obviously like math could have solved this, but to me it's easier just to look it up. 80, 72. You gotta figure this out just because it's, if it's 16 wide, 64 plus 16 is 80, but whatever. So texture progress bar, progress, or actually let's say under. How do I do this? Texture under. Under so it doesn't know what type of texture this is that we've set as the Atlas texture. So we just have to make the assumption here. Okay, it wants a rectangle too. So, okay, we actually need to change this. And we will fill in the rest that's missing. Easy peasy. So 1624 on all these. Okay, so then what we're going to do is set the region equals grown region. And then we'll set the texture progress bar dot value is 0. And we'll set the, I think at this point it calls for creating a variable for the progress bar because I'm calling it so much. Not this one, this. And this one's coming. Dot texture over texture progress. Yeah, that's what we're setting. That region is fruit region. Okay, so we want to do the same thing we did here up top as well when the button's pressed. But switch the values a little bit. So grown region will be the progress and bare region will be the under. So it's bare region, value 0, grown region on top, it grows, it finishes, and then we have grown region under, value 0, fruit region on top, and then we're just gonna run this again. So basically it'll go up once, it'll go up a second time, and then you can click it again. So it's not gonna correct itself until it starts. So let's just switch it to the correct thing on default. We could also just set it ready. Oh, let's keep this for now. All right, so we got a nice empty plant. Click, grows in, and then it's gonna not grow in a second time. Okay. We got an error. Let's see what happened. Can't append to a tween that has started. You stop first. Ah, okay. I thought because it had finished, but okay. Stop. Sure, this can be ours. Okay, click the button. Nice growth. And it still didn't work. Do we have to create the tween again? Tweener is create tween. It might need that. I'm not sure. There we go. And now it came in with the things. So it also changes the ground to, it looks like it's almost potted. Like it grows out and then it becomes potted. I'm not sure I love that, but for the sake of the demonstration, I'm not going to mess with the assets. But I might make a version where it's got fruit and is still otherwise the same for this. But yeah, so that's the idea. And then maybe what we could do for the sake of this, we got our growth button here. We got we got room for a few of them. So let's just place down 3. We could put them in an H box, but because of the scaling funny business we were doing, I don't know that I want to try that right now. Let's do one other thing. Let's attach a script here to the parent idler, and this will be like our game logic. And we'll say for the growth button, let's add a signal. Fruit harvested. And the first time we run this, we don't want to send out fruit harvested. This is just like starting it. So maybe on ready. Yeah. Let's make this its own function. Just to be different. Call it grow fruit. And this will be this. And then we'll call it here as an await. So we'll wait for this to finish, and then we'll re-enable the button here. And then we can call grow fruit once on ready. And so then every time we press this, we'll emit fruit harvested. Because the idea is the first time you click it, actually we should probably disable this, await this, and then re-enable it here too. So I'm copying this a little bit. Really everything except the fruit harvested could go into grow fruit. And then we don't need the await. So let's just call fruit harvested and grow fruit. I think that makes more sense. And then there's no awaits anywhere. Because yeah, we do want the button disabled every time it's growing, not just the one time. I'm just now realizing how small the text is. I'm so sorry about that. Okay, so here's what we have for our script. We defined for our growth button, we have the bear region, which is the part of the texture atlas for the bear post. We have a grown region for the post with the shrubbery on top. And then we have the fruit region, which is the same thing but with fruit. I'm just now realizing that this disappearing is the change when we have the grown section. This goes away. So I think we might be able to fix that, but that's okay. So, and then we have texture progress bar as a variable because we call it often. We have a local signal fruit harvested. On ready, we're going to call grow fruit once so that every time after that we push our button, we will emit fruit harvested. We push the button, we emit fruit harvested, and then we reset the growth cycle, which doesn't fully make sense for grapevine because I would think grapevines, you harvest them more than once, but just for the sake of this demonstration is the idea. So we disable the button when we're growing the fruit so you can't click it again. We create a tweener or a tween called tweener. We set the regions so that it's this and this with the value 0, so you only see the bear. And then we run a tween to bring it up to a value of 100 in 2 seconds. We wait for the tweener to finish, and then we stop it. We create a new one. I'm not sure that it's necessary to stop it when we're creating a new one, but this creating a new tween definitely was essential. We set the new regions so that the under is what we saw as 100%. And then we set the value back to 0 and make the over the fruit region. And the order of that is important so that we don't see the fruit region as we're setting it, not even a flash. And then we run the tween again and we wait for it to finish. And then we disable the button. So something else I could do, because we have a magic number here, we could say plant grow time. And that's going to be the 2 seconds. And then we could have const fruit grow time. And make that also 2 seconds just for now. And then we can tweak it is the idea. So we got plant grow time and we got fruit grow time. So then we just can adjust everything from here. I think we would still want the 100% always. So I'm not going to call that a magic number to go from 0 to 100%. Okay, so the point of having the fruit harvested signal here is that then what we can do in our idler, where we have 3 of these at the same time, is we can listen for them. So we'll say on fruit harvested. And what we can do is have a counter here. Bar fruits harvested is an int, so 0. So we'll say fruits harvested. We'll increment it by 1. And then what I want to do is just for a child in get children, if a child has signal, what were we calling this? No. All right, I guess I didn't copy it. Maybe I did fruit harvested. Okay, whatever. If it has a signal named fruit harvested, then we're going to say a child dot fruit harvested dot connect on fruit harvested. So we'll go through all our children on ready just the one time. And if they have the signal, we'll connect it. We'll also make another child here just for purposes of this concept. We can make it, let's do a panel container. Let's make it a little nice. We can make something a little nice. I think that's okay. If we make it a little nice, and this will be our fruit count panel. And we'll add a child to that, and it'll be the label we always dreamed of. And this is going to be our fruit count. And we're going to access it as a unique name. And we're going to start it with a value 0. Let's go to the code before we give it the old razzle dazzle. So fruit count dot text is gonna be the string of fruits harvested. So every time we add fruits harvested, we update this text. This is also something we could do in the variable on a setter. So when we set the value of fruit harvested, we just update this text. In fact, I want to do that because even though I don't need to, it seems like a nice thing for this to be clear. Fruits harvested is value, and then we're going to update this. But we're going to check if is inside tree. So when we're calling a child of whatever our tree, our node tree is, we want to make sure that we're inside the tree to do it, because otherwise, like on ready, this is such a 0. And if we're not inside the tree yet, this is going to fail the call, and it's going to error out, and it's going to stop what we were doing in our tracks, which is unfortunate. So that's why I'm just making this check for that. We'll do a center alignment of this. Set up the label. Let's make a bigger text. I want to really see this. Fonts, we'll make it a 32 for starters, maybe 48. That's good. Let's move it down a little bit so it's not totally on the top. So we can set the transform Y position, maybe 20. That looks good. That's roughly center. I could just drag it around if I wanted to, but I like to use numbers when I can. For font, if I were making a web build, I would want to make sure to use a font that's imported into the project. But since this is just running on my computer for this example, I can go ahead and just use one of the system fonts, and that'll be fine. So it's a pixel art style, so maybe we could do pixel looking text if I had one. Maybe I don't. Maybe I have to grab one offline anyway. Well, that's not so hard to do anyway. So let's get back here and let's do Google Fonts. I love Google Fonts. Make this a full screen. It's a little hard to see. There we go. We can make it even bigger. So we got some cool feelings. We got playful. I love playful. Artistic's good. Futuristic, good. But I think there might be one specifically for Pixel. Yeah, here we go. So Pixel fonts. And this one's like, it's cute. You know, we're gardening. We want it to look kind of sweet. I like this. This looks good to me. This looks like really kind of cursive almost, but as Pixel. So there's information somewhere about the license. Yeah, and you can read that and decide what you care about. However, for this, I don't care about a license, so I'm just going to go ahead and download it. And then I'm going to, we'll just pop it open on the other screen. Okay, so if I open back to project, I can drag the download I just did into the project. We'll extract it. I probably could have extracted it before I brought it into the project, but oh well. And I don't need the extracted version. So we have our TFF or whatever it's called. All right, so I'm gonna click in here, import. And now we have our font. And let's just drag it here. So now we got a nice little font. Okay, what else? Let's have a nice backing panel. And right now it's all just the default. That's probably fine. But maybe we could do a color that's more grape colored. So I'm gonna kind of cheat to make this happen. And we'll grab this purple. So I think the best way to grab the purple is to act like I'm gonna, oh wait, I need it on this one so I can see it. Well, we already know it's 80. Oh, not 80 wide. It's X80. Okay, so I'm gonna grab the modulate, use the eyedropper tool to get this nice purple. Let's do the darker one. And I'm just gonna grab the hex for it, and then we'll reset this because I don't actually want this purple. I was just trying to get the color. And since I run grow in the ready, I don't have to worry about changing back the graphics. It'll work. Okay, so for our panel, we'll do a quick theme override, quick and dirty. We're gonna make it unique. And this is just something that works with Godot 4.5. Older versions are a little bit different. I don't know what opacity we want, but that looks nice. So the last two hex of your hex code are your opacity, your alpha. So I just did 09 so that it was like somewhat, but not 100%, not 0. So you can see it. All right, let's see how this works. I would want to set this back to the project. Yeah. To the run. Oh, geez. There we go. It can be a path. All right, let's run it. Let's see how it looks. So they grow, and then they grow fruit. Click. Oh, they all got clicked. That's interesting. Oh, because they're not unique. Okay, so we go back here. Resource, local to scene. This is so important. Resource, local to scene. So each copy of these was using the same resource of the under and over. So when one changed, they all changed. So making them local to scene means that each of the 3 instances are unique then, and they should only be one at a time impacted. Click. There we go. Click. There we go. Click. It's simple. It's a start though. It's a start of an idler. So maybe you want to add something more complex. I'm like impatient because I see the grapes. I try to click. And that's not actually when the button becomes available. So something else you could do is maybe once the difference hits up here, it's like on this line of the value is when it becomes clickable again, rather than doing the whole 100% each time. So that could be something to do. Let's do that, in fact. So if we look, if we reset this to where we had it, we want 64, and then this, good. And then we want to see the value where all the grapes become visible. Is that 40? No. 50, 60, maybe 50? Yeah, 45, 48. Looks like 48. So on the second one here, we're actually only going to go to 48 and consider it done. But it's still going to take the full fruit grow time. So now it is a magic number. So we could bring it in here. Const fruit grow percentage 48. So for this one, we could also do the same, but since you can't do anything in this stage anyway, I'm just going to leave it at 100. I think that's totally fine. So here we go. And that just makes sense to me that right when you can see the grapes, you can click on them. Nice. It felt like a little too stiff before. And maybe we could do some sort of animation when it's done too, to kind of indicate like maybe a little shing coming off of it could be cool. I mean, there's so much more obviously you could do, but the logic's here. The number go up when you click, and then you idle, and then you click. And we just did it using tweeners, which I think tweens. Sorry, I keep calling them tweeners. Tweens, which is really cool. So yeah, tweens, a little bit of signal listening, and some control node magic. And here we go. All right. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful and have a good one.